Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing type video, an unbooking, a cracking open maybe if you will, of the Marvel Multiverse role-playing games. This is the brand new, officially licensed Marvel role-playing game. This is the core book. Um, they've had other games in the past. They've done this. This is just the new one. It's not to say there won't be ones in the future. So this is, I'm not going to show off every single thing in this book, because obviously you want it, go pick it up and get it. But I did pick this up because for me, I grew up not playing D&D, but I knew people that did, like my brother and stuff did, and I had family members. But I always loved going through like the D&D manuals. I loved looking at the monster books, all that stuff. I love the idea of our role-playing games. I just never got necessarily into them. And of course, being a huge Marvel fan, I was like, dude, I have to pick this up and take a look at it. They have other role-playing games out there I also want to grab books for. Renegade Studios is doing like the Hasbro line, Power Rangers, G.I. Transformers. All those are really cool. I, again, love any of the D&D monster manual books. Are really cool to me. So I wanted to pick this up and see what it was all about. There are other ways to play as Marvel characters in games. I went over tons of videos. You have Marvel Champions, Marvel Legendary. You play stuff. You can jump in and play like miniature games like Hero Clicks, or they have Crisis Protocol if you set up and you actually move your characters around the board. This is meant to be more of the imaginatory one, where you're playing directly as the character, influence what their actions are. And like any RPG, is you can make your own character up as well, which is really cool. You can dive in, play as a pre-existing character, or you can create your own. But I did want to go over a couple of things in the video. Like I said, I'm not going to go over every single page in here and show off everything, but I want people to get the idea of what was in this book, because if you go online, they only show like one or two little pictures. Sometimes it doesn't help you, and I kind of want to go over some of the main themes of it. Of what's in this book and what to expect. And then we're going to look at some of these supplement material as well. So let's just read on the back. It says, take the role of Marvel's most famous superheroes or create entirely new ones of your own. Put an end to sister plots of the most menacing supervillains in the Marvel Multiverse. The Marvel Multiverse role-playing game core rulebook features all the rules you need to play, including quick character creation, bombastic combat, and scores of amazing powers, plus full profiles of dozens of Marvel's greatest heroes and villains. Written by bestseller Matt Forbeck, which is Marvel Encyclopedia and Dungeons and Dragons Dungeonology. Features full-page illustrations by Mike Bowden, art from Marvel's vast library of comics. This book, three standard dice, and some friends is all you need to get started. So yeah, it just comes with the book. There are other stuff you can pick up. So if we kind of crack into this a little bit. So if we look at the table of contents, this is all the different stuff we're going to get in here. We're going to have a how to play section. Teaches you what you do stuff like that. Core mechanics of the game, which some of them might spend a little bit more time on. We have character profiles. This is explaining all the different stats of your characters. Combat, how different combat can work for various things. Creating a character. If we jump in, we have kind of what to do for backstories of your character, if you want to dive into that a little bit more. Powers, because your characters all have powers. And if you're kind of like relating this to D&D, that's sort of like your classes. So obviously it's like not going to be a one-to-one reference. You're not going to have like, oh, if I want to play a magic character, I'm playing, Scarlet Witch. Like, yeah, kind of, but a little bit differently. Because, Captain America doesn't fit traditionally into like a strict warrior class. Or Spider-Man's not necessarily a rogue class, although that's what people might classify him, but it's the idea of it. Then there are some character profiles, and then the main Marvel Multiverse. It does explain some different multiverse stuff, kind of being the idea of how you want to play your game. And then there's a huge section here on what the narrator should be doing. Because like an RPG game, you have a group of players playing as their characters, whether they're pre-existing heroes or brand new heroes. With another person being the narrator or the dungeon master, who's explaining the world around them and then how characters interact. So it's going to be like, there's a alarm going off down at the bank, and then it's like someone's like, oh, Spider-Man, I'm Spider-Man. It's like, oh, I'm going to start swinging that direction. As I get to the crime scene, does my spider sense trigger anything? And then the narrator, well, DM, will be like, roll a perception, roll a die for this, and then it's not perception, but, the idea of that. You'll roll, oh yeah, you sense something, and you kind of going back and forth. They set up the world that the characters are playing in, and they have to bounce back based on what the characters do and stuff like that. Then there's some appendixes at the bottom. There's some power trees that kind of helps figure out how abilities work in rankings. Some character sheets, which are really fun, the part I really like. And then the glossary index. So yeah, very, very cool. So yeah, if we kind of just look at page 1, so it says, what, roll what? If you're playing a role-playing game, if you're in games like Dungeons & Dragons or Call of Cthulhu, you already know what this is. For most of you may have missed out on this kind of fun now, let's define that term. A role-playing game, or RPG for short, is a game in which players take the role of various characters to create stories. In the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, stories tend to be action-packed adventures, epics featuring superpowered heroes and villains clashing each other in high-stakes conflicts. However, just as you may find many stories of Tales from Marvel Comics, you can recreate all sorts of different stories in your game too. The choice is up to you. So what that really kind of means, which is neat, is because you could create your own brand new stories, or you could try and recreate, to an extent, stories that already exist. So you could be like, oh, like what if we play as Hulk and the Warbound, and they're coming to Earth and they're attacking the Illuminati, or you could be, what if we were doing X-Men versus Avengers, but we want to play as the Avengers, or you have multiple people, have 8 people, or 4 Avengers, you 4 X-Men, kind of how they could interact or combat each other. Pick up Spider-Man, what if we're doing Spider Island, and now you have Spider-themed other heroes that come in. So it could be some very cool stuff, or you can just create your own entirely brand new scenarios. Make your own what-if worlds. What if, everyone became a Ghost Rider, and then now you have to make Ghost Rider themed versions of standard characters. Or what if the X-Men got sent back to the Wild Wild West, and they had to kind of blend in? How would they act? What would they do to hide their abilities? It'd be kind of interesting stuff. So what do you need to play? This book explains lots of this stuff. You need a group of people, a set of dice, some character sheets, and a pencil. Hey, we're already holding the book. That's 1 down. I love some of that humor. There's some cool artwork in here as well. They're playing, you have the Thing, of course, because usually he plays poker, except they're playing that. Again, I'm not going to go through all this different stuff. There is some just explaining the dice, how you're using this book. Session 0, which kind of talks about what kind of game you want to play and things like that. Creating your characters, basically everything you do before the game actually starts. House rules, universe, what you want to play as. So the big thing we did want to look into is a little bit focus on is the core mechanics. So we have the action check in here. So it says, well, playing the Marvel, many of the games and mundane things are sure to succeed. As the game is concerned, they just happen automatically. For instance, the Spider-Man player wants Peter Parker to walk into a bodega and pick up some groceries, then he just does it. And Harry doesn't bother rolling dice to check any details for a character sheet. They simply describe what Peter sees, or Parker sees, hears, smells, feels, and so on when he walks through the neighborhood and enters the bodega. Most of the time, there's no really challenge to this, so there's no need to consult rules or roll dice. And we have other players who just describe their parts of the story. Same thing if, you're playing a D&D game and someone walks into a tavern. You don't need to, check to see if they knew how to open the door or walk over to a table or talk to the bartender. Some basic things are just understood. However, sometimes heroes want to try to do something which outcome isn't always certain, offering a risk of element. Later, for example, when Spider-Man is swinging through Manhattan on his way to work, does he hear an alarm go off in a nearby bank? Player might need to roll some dice to figure that out. So what happens if Spider-Man spots the Vulture flying away from the bank, and the alarm going off and tries to punch a supervillain? Does he hit the Vulture? Anytime circumstances make it challenging for a character to complete an action, the narrator calls for an action check to figure out what happens. This helps keep things fair, so no one just decides exactly what happens. Instead, the dice lets you know what you'll continue to do from there. To resolve the action dice, you roll 3 6-sided dice, referred to as D6, 2 regular dice, and 1 special one called the Marvel dice. So together we call these the D616. So this is the big core of the game. Our unique elements. So you're rolling 3 dice. So they'll be, in the examples they're using here are 2 white and 1 red. since it says that, if you don't have the official marble dice, you can substitute your organic d6 different from the other 2 dice. For example, make your marble die 1 red dice where the other 2 are white. Just remember, getting 1 on a red die means you got the marble logo result. So roll the dice, apply it, and compare. I think they do show kind of some examples in here, so we can kind of see what we're talking about. There's a cool Black Widow picture there. So you ask you to roll a d6, you roll three dice, and you get a 3, a 5, and a 4 for a total of 12 of your score. Note that when we list the results to the D616, I was just the marble guys, vanilla guys. Think of it as the 1 in the 616. If there's one special exception when you add die, if your marble die comes with the marble logo, that's a fantastic result. Count the marble die as a result of 6 instead of 1. So you're going to have one die that could potentially a 1, which would normally be like a very bad result, can actually be a perfect result. And that's kind of cool. When we list the action, we check the fantastic roll. So here we got a 3, M, and a 6, so instead now it's a 15 instead. Very cool. And then you apply the ability scores compared to targeting numbers. So every action check has a target number. This is a determining number trying to meet or beat your roll. So for example here, I'm going to just kind of skip through some of this. A shield agent has been cornered by 3 aim scientists. The agent decides to fight their way past them. The player declares the agent wants to punch one of the scientists. Nair says the target is a 10. Agent rolls the D616, has a 2, a 4, and a 3. That's a total of 9, which would fail. The attack would miss. However, the agent gets up to add the appropriate score for their character profile. In this case, is a +1. That brings adds the appropriate ability score from their character profile, which in this case is a +1. That brings a total of 10, which is a success. So this is kind of determined. Like, yeah, you want to fly in and hit stuff. You can decide whether or not you actually hit it, or they take guys out. So there's a bunch of other different stuff in it. I'm not going to get into too much of all these. You have ranked by challenges. So you sign the rank of the numbers. A lot of information here. So I will say this about it. The core idea of how the RPG plays, I decide this, I roll a die to see if it's success compared to these numbers. I have bonuses in my stats. The general idea just sounds very simple, very easy to figure out. Now, there's a little bit more complexity in there. This is one of the reasons why I personally haven't dived super far into role-playing games, because this isn't like a board game where you can sit down. I have all my components right there. Everything's laid out for me. I have a rule book that explains basically what should happen, step 1, step 2, step 3. The whole point of RPG is to be very narrative. Things can change. There's not necessarily always 100% outcome to anything. Sometimes it's just, you gotta talk about it, figure it out, play around with what happened, like real life. But there's also a lot of extra little minus things behind the thing. So even here, like, we have target numbers. So if it's a trivial task, the minus gets 6. So like there we had the shield agent was fighting the aim agent with a result he needed 10. Well, that's because that's a regular agent fighting another agent, or a soldier fighting a soldier. But now if we had Wolverine taking on the same aim scientist, like, that's going to be probably a trivial task for him. So he'd probably have a -6. So he would only need to roll a 4 in that chance. Well, rolling 3 dice, the chances are Wolverine's not going to get a 4 is probably so pointless to even do. So again, like, a shield agent might need to roll to see if he can punch another regular person or another soldier or whatever. Another henchman guy, because they're probably about equal level. Where like Wolverine or Spider-Man or Hulk running in, punching the same low-level henchman, you're just going to assume they can probably run and take them out. Or you could roll for the entire group. And if it was 10, 10, and 10, you could add all 3 of them up and say, okay, Wolverine's taking on all 3 of them. He would normally need to roll 30, but now you can do a -6 for each. So 10, 10, 10, which would be 4, 4. So now he has to get a 12. So he still has to roll a 12 to take out all 3 of them. And then you could be like, oh, he rolled for some reason he rolled a 10 instead. You could be like, oh, he took out 2 of them and the third one just managed to dodge, right? And that's kind of how you could play around with that, little different things. And almost the exact opposite. If for some reason you were playing a shield agent and you were running up trying to punch the Juggernaut and take him out, you'd probably add like absurd to it. Like shield agent number 642 is probably not going to be able to take out Juggernaut. So you have to roll a 6. And if his already thing was like 20, you have to roll a 26. Chances are you're never going to do anything to him. They're kind of showing that example, like Captain America, rolling for some different stuff, dodging through skyscraper. So it's not just always things. There's impossible stuff, like Hulk wants to try and push the Earth out of orbit. Doesn't matter how hard the Hulk hits the ground or jumps up and down, isn't strong enough to do it. So there's some stuff they just can't do. You can get fantastic successes, so you can get stuff where extra good stuff really happens. You can get fantastic failures if you roll really low. Ultimate fantastic rolls if you get 616. Just extra things do things. You get like different stats, like edging, which just give you that little extra bonus for points and stuff. Some other different stuff like that. So again, I don't want to get into too much of all that. We have character profiles. This is just going to show all your different stats. So we do have like ranks for your characters. This is just kind of generalized how powerful your character is and like maybe what story you should be doing. So you got like rank 1 is a rookie, 2 is a protector, which is like street level heroes, 3 is a champion, which is a little bit more maybe like city or higher levels, 4 is legends, it should be like your national superheroes like Black Panther, Captain America. 5 are like mythics, like your Thor, Scarlet Witch, like your almost god level characters, and 6 are your cosmic characters. So it kind of helps you determine what rank your characters might be, and what rank like maybe your story is going to be. If you're doing a bank robbery, which is maybe a rookie protector level, somewhere in there, and you're trying to stop villains from doing that, you probably don't need a cosmic hero. Silver Surfer doesn't have to come from outer space to come down to stop a bank. You could have him do it, definitely. But in the same fact, you're not going to do a rookie where you have a brand new student that joined the X-Men school, learning how to do their powers, isn't going to be doing a level 5 Asgardian mission. You're probably not going to send your brand new recruit. But could you? Could you have them? Could you send the New Mutants to there? Oh, let's see, now they're an element outside of thing. Well, they're still trying to learn their abilities. You could. It's, again, all up to you, but that's the idea. We have some different stats in here as well, or ability scores, I call them, like melee, agility, resilience, vigilance, egos, logic, ability checks. We have some karma stats. I want to go over every little thing. Like here's an example of a setup for Peter Parker. So they have him listed as rank 4. He has his health and his focus. Now, all of these things are determined, though, based on your rank and some other skills. So it's like a rank 4 character is going to have less health typically than a rank 5 character. And you can do some little fiddling and adjusting here and there. Because some of it's also based on ability scores. And you can change this stuff. This is just like a pre-made sheet. But you can go ahead and change these up. Based on if you want to like rank up or rank down your character. You want to play as a little bit earlier Peter Parker, a little bit earlier version of Cyclops or Wolverine. Or you want to play as a future version. You could rank them up. Or one that's been granted some extra skills. You can definitely change all their stats around a little bit. Give them more stuff. Take away some extra stuff. They come with backstories, which add some extra stuff. The traits, which give them just extra things that might come up along the thing. Like they have connections. For his example, he has inventor or scientific expertise. So if you have like, oh, we have a mission, something needs to like fix this door, or do this thing, there's a new doohickey. Spider-Man might be better than Big Dumb Hulk, right? This is obligations where they're doing something. Spider-Man's secret identity might end up being a factor, right? And then he has a list of powers, which are really cool. And then you have like an actual your own personal character sheet. So if you wanted to create one, so there you're just using Spider-Man again as an example, but here you're adding up your own specific stats and giving the bonus. It's the same stuff listed on the other page, but it's just you can add all your own different things in here. And that's really neat as well. Then we have some different combat stuff. I'm gonna kind of flip this down a little bit. I want to spend a ton of time. I spent a ton of time already, but I don't want to go through every little thing. This is just saying how different things you can do during the turn. I'm gonna kind of flip through some of these weapons, using different weapons, bonus stats to them. If we get to this blue one here, we have creating your own character. This is how you can create your own character as part of a team. Again, you can go all the way down to height, weight, gender, all that stuff, hair color, occupation, all that. A bunch of different stuff. You have ability scores that kind of helps you walk through some of that. We have back stars. You can set up all your different stuff. If you play as a pre-made character, you already have all this, but it wants to give you options for this. Here we have like a list of a lot of different origins, which is really fun. So if you want to play an Atlantean, or you want to have a high-tech battle suit, or we have like magic, mutants, werewolf, vampires you can play as. Just a lot of different stuff in there. Like for example, if you're a mythic Asgardian, member of the Asgardian people resembling Norse gods, call Asgard your home. Character can be one of many gods who have been named throughout history, or they can be one of the lesser-known Asgardian gods. Choose something that they are the god of. For examples, Hela, Heimdall, Loki, Sif, Thor. Tags. They get the supernatural and worship tags, and traits, god, heritage, and physique. So they get different extra bonuses. Same thing if you pick like a symbiote, they can get some extra different stuff. And then you can also pick like occupations if you have guys. So like an assassin character like Arcade, Bullseye, Elektra, Punisher. Because you can play as bad guys as well. You don't have to be a hero. But yeah, they're going to gain different things for having different traits. Now you might have typically only one, maybe two origins. You could be an inhuman mutant, for example, or an Asgardian symbiote for some reason. But like you could have 5, 6 different occupations that have all these different tags. You could have a lot more of them. AI, amphibious, authority. It's just give you different stuff. It's gonna let you have like kind of determine what your character can do. So if like obviously if you're the X gene, you have to be a mutant. If you're worshipped, you can be worshipped as a god. If you're streetwise, character knows how things to handle a street. So they'll be able to navigate better if you're in Hell's Kitchen or Midtown, versus like then Silver Surfer's not gonna know where a criminal might hide out in the middle of New York, as well as Spider-Man or Daredevil do. We have a sheet of powers, just showing depending on what rank you are, how many powers you get. So again, the more experienced you are, you get more powers. For example, Spider-Man, using only basic powers and powers from the Spider power set, just gives him 4 minus 1 extra 3 extra powers, means he can pick up to 19 powers. So he's level 4, and then he's going to give him some extra abilities for having certain stuff. So he gets some extra cool things there. Then we have a list of all the different power sets, and as the game goes on, they keep adding more and more to this. And you are always free to create your own as well, like something maybe hasn't been listed. Obviously, Marvel has been around for God knows how many years. They can only make up so many things. But this is, again, just a way to give good ideas. So, like, basic illusions or magic. Here we have, like, shield barriers, spider powers, telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation. And then we have this nice little handy chart here, which is kind of cool as well. So if, like, you're doing elemental control, show all the different abilities that are available in elemental control. If you have magic, no set, chaos, demonic, omniversal travel, dimensional, multiverse, time traveling. We have tactics, shield, spider powers. So very interesting stuff there. If I flip to the, now there's more like breakdown of every single power. So if you use like chain strikes, unleashes a hail of strikes. Set, martial arts. You have to have martial arts skills. You also need fast strikes at rank 2. It's a standard action. It's instant duration. It costs you 5 focus, which is, kind of have to have some sort of resource to play this stuff, so you can't just do superpowers over and over and over again. And the effect, character makes a close range attack with an edge. If a character is success, the enemy takes regular damage. On fast cast success, character also makes an additional change strike. So you have like Clobber, some really cool stuff that's already kind of set up for you. And then some different, there's quite a bit of decent stuff there. We have some characters. So here's some pre-set up ones. We already looked at kind of Spider-Man, but we have like Agatha Harkness, American Chavez, Adamus Chavez Braun, Devil Dinosaur, Drax here, Gamora. I'm not going through all of them. I keep getting all the Guardians. Hellcat, Iceman, so if you want to be Iceman, Tony Stark, Iron Man, Tony Stark. They might end up like other versions of Iron Man later. Then we have some villains like Juggernaut, Kraven the Hunter, Loki, Maximus, if you want to get some other different ones. A Mystique, Nightcrawler. This isn't going to list, again, every single character out there. We're going to get some obscure characters like Red Wolf, which are really cool. Reptile, which hasn't been around as much. We do get regular S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, so maybe if you want to bring some of them guys with you, you just got some. Or if you're fighting against them, let's say you're playing Wolverine and he's sneaking into the S.H.I.E.L.D. and he has to get through some stuff because S.H.I.E.L.D's trying to hide something against mutants, right? And that's maybe the mission. So he's stealthily going in there. You know, you might have to fight S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. You have all their different stats as well. And same thing, you can use these as hero stats, villain stats, anything in between. So yeah, we have a bunch. Then we have a page dedicated, or a little section dedicated to the multiverse. So it's kind of like, where do you want to play as? So it says, the main multiverse features some of the comics known as Earth 616, sometimes Universe 616. All sorts of others just show up in the comic book, like the Ultimate Universe, Earth 1610, the 2099 Universe, which is 228, Marvel Zombies, which is 2149, and the Spider-Gwen Universe, which is 65. Not every universe gets a number. Many verses don't even know for sure there are other parallels exist. And now establish ways. Of course, can do as you like. As long as the other players agree, you can pick your game's universe or explore entirely named properties. So that's kind of the idea of this. While you're playing, you can, hey, we're going to take places. In the regular Marvel universe, we have regular Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, or, again, you could make an alternate reality so you could adjust those characters. I want to be Spider-Man, but I like the idea and the concept of Spider-Man, but I want to play as an Asian character, and I want to have it set in there. So instead, you could just create a Asian Spider-Man that happened over there, or you could just make an alternate reality. And put them in there, and then you can mess with the world, and then you do an alternate reality. You feel free to, like, have villains be heroes, heroes be villains, kill off characters, change their stats, do all sorts of interesting stuff. And this just to have a little brief thing of some of the history of the Marvel Universe, which is really cool. Then we have a bunch of other dimensions, which are Asgard, Dark Dimension, Kunlun, Limbo, Negative Zone. And then we have other universes you can go to, Days of Future Past, the Noir Universe, if you want to go back to the 1930s. You could go to the Real World, Spider-Gwen, MC2, Marvel Zombies. Different forms of time traveling, all this other fun stuff, moving between universes. Then we have a big section about the narrator, stuff that they can kind of do to help up running the game. So like starting combat, initiatives, you know, like who gets to play first. So like Daredevil is going to get attacked before Kingpin, or this person, that person. When to like timeout breaking points, to be continued stuff. You can do single issues if you just want to do like a solo adventure, graphic novels, do like big long stories you can break up into multiple parts, ongoing series. You know, some D&D players play games for, you know, till their characters all die. They could play for 3-4 years with the same character. Some people might sit down, play one mission, one story. Hey, we went into this dungeon or this game. Like, hey, we went on an adventure, we did this thing. Now we're done. You can continue the same characters. You could pick up guys like, dude, I really love Spider-Man. I'm going to keep playing as him. Someone's like, yeah, last time I played, you know, Iron Man. It was fun, but, like, I want to play, you know, a bigger bruiser character. So I'm going to play the Hulk this time. Great. So Spider-Man teams up with the Hulk this time instead. You know, Iron Man's off doing something else. Nothing wrong with that. So very cool. Um, all this different stuff you can do in there. Unique powers, power sets, working with ranks, how you can up stuff up and down. So again, you can have higher level characters drop down to lower, or give lower level characters higher up stuff. Changing heroes out, all these different things. Playing in the multiverse. Different type of stuff you want to do. Do you want to do a comedy story? Do you want to do a mystery, a gritty, a romance? You know, so you don't have to just. It doesn't just have to be beat 'em up, brawl, stopping bank robberies. Just doing, you know, oh, end of the world Galactus or Doctor Doom are coming. Thanos is bringing the Infinity Gauntlet. You can do whatever type of stories you like. Yeah, so you can kind of, just make up whatever type of story. Yeah, if you read comic books, sometimes they're the end of the world scenarios. Other times it's a team up between 2 or 3 characters. Like, they're just trying to do a quick, hey, what happens if we do this? Or there's been stuff where it's been like, just rereading X-Men Unlimited stuff. And they have little mini stories with X-Men characters. And there's one, it's like, Beast going around and how he's tutoring students for the day, or Kitty Pryde and Colossus going on a date. You could have like a battle in there, or a conflict if you think that'd be interesting as well. Like, hey, their date gets broken up, but you could have the other part. You don't always have to be just necessarily serious end of the grim world stuff. A bunch of extra different stuff in here for the narrator to do. There's stuff in here like you can use events if you want. You can have flashbacks. So this could be kind of a neat idea if, like, you've been playing a campaign for a while, and let's say you have 5 people, and one day like 3 people can't show up or something, right? So you're like, oh, we still want to play, but we don't want to start brand new characters. We want to start something new. Have the 2 characters that are left have a flashback. Let's say you're playing the Avengers, and you have Captain America and Iron Man, right? Those are the 2 people that are left. Or Captain America and Hawkeye. They have, let's do a flashback adventure of how, like, this one time when they teamed up to deal with this thing that came up. Like, Hawkeye's old villain came up and Captain America tagged along to help him out or something. You know, or again, like we just said with the X-Men. Like, you're playing a bunch of X-Men characters and a bunch of people can't show up. Hey, what happened when we had a day when, like, the characters playing Nightcrawler and another one are playing Storm? Like, how would they interact with just the 2 of them for the day? Did they go solve some mission somewhere else, or someone attacked the mansion, or just those 2 around, or something interesting there? You can, again, do origin stories. You can jump back and how did they get their powers? Be an interesting way to explain that if you have less people, or if you have, like, a group of characters. Different things like that. Adding other characters in the world as well, so it doesn't just always have to be the main characters. If you're playing Spider-Man again, like, you're going to probably want to mention maybe Mary Jane, or Aunt May, or J. Jonah at some point. If you're talking about the X-Men, you're playing Wolverine, doesn't mean that he's not going to interact with the other bazillion characters Wolverine knows. A bunch of other interesting stuff there as well. Then we have this appendix skill tree, which is a really neat idea. So we saw before just a list of the powers. This is now showing them kind of in a tree. So if you're doing elemental control, you'll have to have elemental burst first. But then if you get it up to rank 2, you can get elemental blast, grab, infusion, and push. And you can do that up to suffocation. If you have blast, you can switch up to some different ones. Kind of see what you need to get different things. Magic here, like, just has sets, but it doesn't have any necessarily stuff in each one where you have to have another one for each, but you have to be a certain rank to be able to use them. Let's see if we have some of the other ones here. So you have, like, spider powers. If you want jump rank 3, or jump 3, you have to have jump 1 and 2 first. If you have web casting, now you can use all the different web casting. Well, it has a lot of different other spider powers you don't need. But if you get, like, super strength here, banging heads, immovable, are by themselves. But again, we have jump in there as well. We have crushing grip. So some of them definitely flip over from one to the other. But they also require some other things that you might need. So yeah, this is a really neat just kind of guide. And again, it's not a be-all, end-all. And then we do have like some blank pages here in the back that you could go through and write down all your information on. We have a couple different ones, more or less stuff, and our glossary. You can also print out a lot of that stuff on the website as well, the Marvel RPG website. So yeah, that's what we have for this. It's a lot of information, a lot of cool stuff to get you started, learning how to play, doing all that different stuff. There's the other thing I did want to look at then is we have some extra content. So you can go to the Marvel website, rpgmarvel.com/RPG, which has a lot more free stuff in there you can unlock and get through. I'm going to show off some of it, a little bit of it. Another thing we do have in here is Roll20, which is a website you can go to, roll20.net, which kind of sets up a little computer program. So here they have people set up over the website. They can kind of play together, so you can play a little bit more digitally as well, because not everyone can sit down and do pen and paper. Just lets you set up stuff digitally. Plus the fact is it also maybe helps give people a little bit extra resources for the digital stuff. Has a little play map. You can put tokens on the board, see your characters and stuff. Get a more visual idea. That does help people sometimes. Plus character creations and stuff like that. Not everything on there is free, though. I'm going to say that. There are some stuff, if you want the books and stuff, you have to pay for it. The character creation stuff might be free. It might let you create it, but it might not let you save more than a couple before you have to pay for it to get subscriptions for some of these. And then we do also have the Marvel Role-Playing Nexus app, or website as well, which has, again, some more stuff in there, some different, so it's like digital core creation, find players, narrators, create tools, a bunch of other interesting stuff for that as well. And then with that, I did want to show off, I just printed off some pictures. We have some other expansion books here coming out. We have the X-Men book, so you can get that. It's going to have some more, a lot more information about X-Men, and some stories. I do have one of the adventure books, kind of things we're going to look at, so you can kind of see what's in there versus the core book. Go the Spider-Man Multiverse, Spider-Verse expansion, and then they do have like a Deadpool one-shot. They have more profiles for the characters, plus some specified missions. And then if we do the ones we just talked about, this Nexus 20, which is Demi-Plane, or the Roll20, virtual tabletop or digital tool sets, they each one have their own exclusive little storyline. And these are just kind of ways that if you want to play the game, and again, you want to just hop in as pre-made characters already, and you want a pre-made story so you don't have to come up with your own, that's the idea of these books. Is so that way you have more options of new characters, plus you have more ways. They do also have access to other characters and profiles on there. Then also coming out sometime in 2025 is the Marvel Role-Playing Starter Set. So this is going to have a bunch of cool stuff in here. It's going to have a bunch of big maps. So yeah, if you're more visual but you don't want to do the digital thing, this gives you a little bit more physical thing to do. So it's going to have your core book like we just showed. It's going to have a quick starter guide. It's going to have a special Planet Hulk storyline. Plus, it's going to have a Powers book, all a little bit separate. Have some maps in there. It's going to have some extra little tokens you can use for your characters. So you can put them on the maps to see where your characters are at. And kind of then, you get a little bit more visual thing. A lot of D&D people do this. They place the dungeon maps down. And then we can kind of see like, oh, this guy entered this. You get or more of an idea of how far away things are. They did have a pre-order for this. So this is not part of the regular core box. There's a pre-order version. So maybe you might want to find this. There might be some sites reselling this. But it did come with some 2D standees, some little acrylic standees for your characters. And some pre-made power decks for them. And I do actually have this pre-ordered, so when it comes out, I'll do another video on it. But yeah, I just kind of want to show this off ahead of time. Pre-order for it is already done, so you have to find someone selling it in a second-hand market, maybe another gaming store. Maybe pick it up, you know, kind of like crowdfunding, Kickstarter type stuff. But yeah, so it gives you like their power, so that way you have like their traits and their power stuff in cards instead of having to look back at books for them. So it'd be neat to check out exactly what those do. Alright, so we're going to take a look at one of the first big books, the first adventure book, The Cataclysm of Kang. And I'm not going to spend nearly as much time on this as I did the other one, but I did want to kind of show you what one of these adventure books would get. Because again, the online stuff doesn't show a lot of it. So it says, the call is out for heroes ever to defeat the malicious machinations of Kang the Conqueror. The Cataclysm of Kang will take characters from Hell's Kitchen to a reality where Hydra runs the world. Chased across time, these 6 adventures, players can choose new heroes for each time to form a campaign to take them from street-level heroes to cosmic champions. Yeah, so it sets up a storyline you can play using certain characters and stuff like that. So if we kind of just jump into our contents here, so you have ready for adventures, narrators, what they need, what you need to play this, origin stories, kind of just a quick setup for this story here. And then we have a couple of different missions. So we have, we have the friendly neighborhood, we have the origin story adventure, we have the friendly neighborhood adventure, New York State of Mind, so it's like briefing, the heroes are required for it, what map you're going to use, where you're at, like locations, bunch of the different plots, some other stuff you might need to know. National Emergency, World of Trouble, and then Galaxy of Hurt. So yeah, it's 6 different adventures. You can play like one after the other or play them all separately. Plus, it has some more character profiles and stuff in here, which are always fun. So yeah, I don't want to go through all of this too much. This is, one or more players, friends are often the best. 3 6-sided dice, blank character sheet, pencil, bit of sense of fun. And there we have some cool artwork there, some of our different characters. So yeah, this is going to kind of set this up. So you can play these as chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You might notice the expanded scope in this is personal to galactic, even multiversal as I proceed. The first is designed for rank 1 heroes, the second for rank 2, and so on until you reach the challenge of the rank 6 heroes. So you can play as single issues. You can do a graphic novel where you play all 6 of them run together. So it says, origin story launches characters meant for rank 1 heroes. Each adventure after is designed to rank higher than the one before. This requires more of a commitment than playing single issues, but each adventure the hero makes it through survives and gives them more context for and better appreciation of the later adventures. And there's some plot points going through. So yes, it's kind of neat. You can keep advancing through stuff. This explains suggested heroes, working in the ranks, different things there, powering up your characters, bunch of other different stuff. I don't want to get into too much of the spoilers of the story either. But so if we look at the beginning of Origin Story, let's give you an idea of what's in here. So our villains, I'm going to tell you who our villains are, our location. It's on a single city block of the little Italian neighborhood of Lower Manhattan, right in Mulberry Street. Which actual block isn't important. There's several you can pick up. You can nail things down in a map. The plot, the supremacy for Earth 56438 believe they have time before their plan is devoured. So they decided to cautiously establish a beachhead near Earth. To the end, they're working with local magic to run all the locals out of the block they want to take over. Once they manage, they'll hope to get hollow up the buildings and open an interdimensional gateway. So that's kind of what we're doing. The heroes you want to pick are some rank 2 hires. In the core rulebook, for instance, there's only heroes rank 1 are Young Lion from the Hero Creation example and Shield Agents. In Chapter 8, characters you find profile for Agent Claire Dixon, Dakota North, Frogman, and Maddie Chow, who are all default characters for adventure. Alternatively, if the characters wish, they can go for all ex-Shield Agents who have come back together to follow the plot and discover the course of actions. They should each take time to give themselves different ones. So the idea is also it's neatest because this is supposed to be just, instead of a gang, like, I'm going to create this big, massive character, cool powers, all this, go on an epic adventure. This is also designed to, like, have you play different characters at different points. So you start off with, like, you could definitely decide, I'm going to make my own brand new character with rank 1. Next story, I'm going to level them up to rank 2, up to rank 3, and they have like, expanding growth powers, right? So they just keep getting better and better and better. By the end, your powers have gotten so cool they can go up to space, right? Or here, you start off chapter 1, you play as like a low-level shield agent, or maybe like a brand new character that just got their powers, or something like that. You know, or like a D-level character that came out, like Frogman. And then, yeah, when you play the next one, then you move up to your next level of characters. So if you create your own characters, do it level 1. Of course, players can use established heroes for other ranks. If they're higher ranked, combat proportion eventually might be too easy for them, depending on how much more powerful they are. The rank 2, it's not that much of an adjustment, but it's hard to ramp this high enough for challenge 6 heroes. So again, that's like saying you could take a level 2 character, push them down to level 1 a little bit, adjust their stats a little, but it'd be really hard to take like a rank 6 like Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and drop her down to where she can fight street level heroes like goons and mafia and stuff without it being like, oh, she just walks in the room and explodes the entire room, right? Yeah, it could be very good. You could give him weaknesses or stuff like that if you want. So there's a lot of different stuff in there. So this is just kind of talking through the story, different stuff in there. They do come with some maps, which are really cool. So here's on Mulberry Street we were talking about. There's some of the different areas of different things if you just want an idea of what there are. Some doors. One square on here is supposed to equal 10 foot. So if we kind of zoom way up on one of these, each little square in there is supposed to represent a 10-foot section. You know, just to give you an idea of like how far away your guys are. You always have some other stuff. So we do have like some restaurants that have some little breakdowns for each one. Again, these are really tiny maps, but like you could blow them up. You could probably download one of the digital clients. Might be able to get fuller size maps for these, so you could play them a lot better. Here's some guards they recommend, different characters, stuff like that. I don't want to get into too much of all the different ones, but if I kind of skip to like set number 4, New York State of Mind. It's going to have, like, stories. So far, ranking, hierarchy, the heroes. It's just going to say suggested heroes. Such the heroes list are Cloak, Dagger, Tigra, Iron Fist, Lin Li, and Luke Cage, all heroes who are located in Chapter 8. Alternatively, characters from either Chapter 2 or 3 can be upgraded to rank 3 to use. Adjusting your difficulties. Here we have, like, a map of New York. So a bunch of really cool stuff there. The hook, if you're doing other stuff here as a graphic novel, here's stuff that carried over. If you're doing a single issue, here's some stuff there. Daredevil recaps what happened before. So if like you just jumped into this or it's been a while. Some really interesting stuff in there as well. And then it's just going to keep going like that. We're just going to have more and more things. You get into some galactic stuff here with Kang eventually towards the end. I don't want to spoil too much. We do have characters in here. So we have some brand new characters. Like there's Agent Sum, one of our rank 1 characters. He does have power, like healing factor and attack stance and stuff. Alpha primitives. This gives you some more interesting, more level. We have a Crimson Surfer. Dagger we talked about. Demolisher, so if you want some Wrecking Crew to fight, some Inhumans. We have Frogman, if you want to play as him. They did show like Jean Grey on here, so we get her, Lockjaw, some of the Inhumans, Patriot, Rashawn Lucas, Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, the Wrecker from the Wrecking Crew. Then they have a little comic book at the end here, as well, if you want to see the birth of Kang, which is really neat. Then a bunch of other stuff there. So that's kind of what you're going to get in these adventure books, is you're going to get like a pre-made story with, here's some things to do here. So again, you still have to come up with all the ins and outs, all the little details while playing, but it helps it so like a newer player, a newer narrator, or DM doesn't have to start from scratch. We did want to look at some of the other stuff that was available online. So I did print off this. This is free from the Marvel RPG website. This is another single adventure. It's just Enter Hydra. So I just printed it off in full because it's free, so anyone can get it. So it just mentions your different stuff you're going to be able to do in here. Some different ranks. How many Hydra. We have a map of the There's Hydra Base, the Howard and Maria Stark Center for Galactic History. Different things you can interact with. If the heroes win, if the heroes lose, different things that will happen. And then we also have some interesting new character sheets in here that weren't available in the other book sets. We have like Hydra, Armored Hydra Agent, just regular Hydra Agents, Hydra Officer. Some of these were available in the core set as well. And then just like, here's a little extra sheet if you want to make a quick one for like henchmen and stuff. So you could make a little quick one just for like the Hydra henchmen, or if you want to do one for S.H.I.E.L.D. if you want to play as a bad guy, right? Now you can make these extra cool templates, which are really neat. Some other interesting stuff they also came out with on the web exclusive. We have an Excalibur set. So this is just other examples of things they're going to come out with. And I didn't print off all of this, so I just did a couple of things, but they're going to have some stuff like here. It's mentioning the Excalibur teams. Here are different characters for each of the different teams. So if you're playing as a Mirror Island team, these are the members that were part of that team. So if you want to play as that specific one, if you want the new Excalibur team where it had Juggernaut and Nocturne and Pete Wisdom in there, they list like 5 different teams. They have like the original team as well. They have like the Krakoan team, which was like A or Apocalypse, Gambit, Rogue, Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain. It has more stuff in there about their locations, their villains, their goals, like how they work, what they do. So it's just basically, it's like, hey, you want to play as Excalibur, here's an extra roster. The X-Men book probably does something similar. Spider-Man's kind of that. So some of these are going to be like just general adventures. Use anybody. Some are going to be kind of themed more specific teams. They also have a list of X-Men 97 characters you can print off. Or get to things. So if you want to play more specifically as Wolverine from X-Men 97 as opposed to regular Wolverine, I'm going to guess he's probably in the core book here. Let me double check. I would imagine Wolverine would be in the character section. Wasp, Wong. So yeah, like here we have, in the core book, we have regular Wolverine, who has all his different abilities. But then if we kind of compare some of that to 97, so it's still a rank 4, but this Wolverine, they gave him a little bit more health. And stuff, but like lots of his other stuff over here, some of the stuff, his teams, he's been part of the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Summer's House, Krakoa. This one's only been part of the X-Men. Bases are different. Origins are slightly a little bit different just because they have more things to talk about. But if you look at some of their stats, which are why they're different. So this one gains a little less melee, but he gains more agility, a little bit more resilient, because cartoon guys can take a little bit more damage, but less vigilance. And that's where some of the reason why some of the stats and stuff change on them. They have a little bit different tags in there. Enemies, appearance, some different things there. Lots of them are basically the same. They did start adding little symbols in there for some of the abilities as well. And the same thing with powers. Reinforced Skeleton, Uncanny. Lots of those should stay basically the same because it's Wolverine. But it's tiny. And they have a bunch for like different ones. Wolverine, Jubilee, Cyclops. So a bunch of different ones there you can get. And those are downloadable for free. And then with that also, for the new Marvel Rivals battle game, they have some extra stuff here. So this is actually a new little thing. Again, I didn't print off all of these, but they have some new character sheets, a new battle map, and a new game mode. So if you want to play the domination mode, you can play a PvP against other players. So if you want to just jump in with a bunch of Marvel Rival characters and fight off against other Marvel Rivals, you just have an epic versus battle. Or again, you can take this concept and apply it to X-Men versus Avengers, X-Men versus Inhumans. Secret Wars have the Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men team versus the group of villains versus the Secret Wars, and you could do some interesting stuff there as well. So I did print off like one of the things. We have like Rockets here for Marvel Rivals. And do we have Rocket's probably in the other book. Let me check, because I kind of want to see what some of the differences are. almost opened right up to the page. PQ. So no, Rocket is not in that book, but he might be in this one. Spider-Man, 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 Shang-Chi, Red Wolf, Reptile, Sabretooth, Rocket. Yeah, so there we have, just as again, a little bit of comparison between some of these. So we have regular Rocket at 4. The Rivals one only gets 3. But they have the same health, just because some of their stats might be a little bit different. Lots of their other stuff might kind of stay the same. Well, if we look at some of their skills, they changed. So we have melee versus agility, resilience, logic. So some of that stuff kind of changes because it might be the more, just different versions of them. The more versus, like PvP aspect versus tech aspect. They have a little bit different damage dice, which do a little bit extra different stuff because of ranks. Their traits and stuff are maybe a little bit different. Like he has pistols too in there. He doesn't have that. He's just sniper rifle. But he does have what it's just surprising power too, or all surprising power, boost powers. Some of the stuff that this other one doesn't have. Some different powers in there, curing, power control. Plus it has a team up power. Rocket can jump on Groot's shoulder, occupy the same space as Groot during battle, granting 1 sturdy. So that kind of again mimics the Marvel Rival thing. So that's kind of neat. And they have characters for some of them. Not every single Marvel Rival character, but it's definitely neat that they added some of those in there. And then we did have, I did print off one of the battle maps for that. So we had square 1 equals 5 feet. And this is like the Asgardian, or Yazgardian things. You have Team B spawn, Team A spawn in there. And then they have another one printed off if you don't want all the little squares on there as well. So yeah, just that is a really neat aspect of this game as well. So a lot of interesting new concept, a lot of different ways to play. You can play digitally, you know, like online with other people. You still need to have people. You can't just play like a solo. I guess you can play a solo version, but it's kind of weird to play a role-playing game solo. But yeah, you can print off a lot of new material, updated stuff. Get binders if you want to have binders. Print off all the new ones. Keep them in the binders so you have access to all of them for new players. Create your own. The very last thing I did want to show off in here was you might see this online. This is a Marvel role-playing game play test rulebook. You might see this and be like, oh, this is like $3-4 bucks. I should pick this up. This is like a simplified guide of this like $20-some or $50 retail price is $60. You might find it for $30-40 bucks. Don't pick this up. You can if you want. It's kind of a unique extra thing. So what this is because you might be like, again, it's really cheap. Is it's a play test rulebook. So this is what came out before this was done. They kind of workshopped the game. They sent it out to people. And why? That's kind of why I'm saying not to buy it. One, I have some printing issues. A little bit hard to read there unless you put on your 3D goggles. It's just for some of the pages here and there. But what this does is it has lots of the core basic stuff, but they did change some things in the game. Mainly kind of how some of the characters are done and related, how the ranks and stuff work. So that's why I say it's kind of a neat thing to pick up to, like, if you can find it. If you're buying stuff anyhow and you have an extra like $5 sitting around, grab it, because it's a cool way to kind of see like how they got into the game and did stuff. And you might want to adapt some of the things. But they did change some of the things a little bit. Like they originally had archetypes in here, which they eventually kind of got rid of. So you were gonna, if you were playing, you had to play as a blaster or a bruiser type or a striker. And they eventually went away with that. Like I said, that was more like D&D having specific classes. Like you had the warrior class, and the warrior class grants you these abilities. And then the mage class grants you these, and then so on and so forth. They were kind of doing that with this originally. They also had ranks that went like crazy high. So you had like rank 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, up to 25. You could keep getting more and more. And they changed that down to being 1 through 6. So it's easy just to kind of like I'm either playing really easy mode or I'm playing like hard mode, essentially. Instead of having a bunch of different ranks, that you keep having, the less they had in there to keep track of. Again, trying to make this a little bit easy for for newer players, I think. As I have all this, but some of the stuff I found was interesting to have in here as well. We have like sizes. Just mention like, 'cause there's nothing really in there. And again, this might not fit exactly with the current new model, but I do like this as an idea. If you have stuff that are different sizes, how they get their different reaches and damage modifiers. Again, things you might be able to apply to different things. I did like some of the stuff talking about like falling damage, dealing damage for different stuff like acid, cold, piercing, psychic. Again, there was some really interesting, neat stuff in here. If you have holding back, using guns, weapons, healing stuff, your common weapons, kind of like what type of damage. But here they're doing like D6s and stuff like that. So again, it might not necessarily be that. But again, it just gives you some ideas. Conditions like you're bleeding, you're blinded, paralyzed. Be able to throw stuff, destroy things. They added some extra different tables in there. Plowing through buildings. It's like a window costs 5, an exterior wall costs 40. Again, like Juggernaut throws Wolverine, Laura Kinney into the side of the Avengers Tower and dealing 65 physical bashing damage. Her Wolverine's reinforced skeleton gives her a damage reduction of 15. She takes 50 points of damage. Again, this wouldn't necessarily might not work with the current level because some of these guys only have like 90 or 100 health. But yeah, you might have to adjust it, but it gives you the idea. The exterior wall of the Avengers takes 65 points of damage and Wolverine plows through. The exterior wall absorbs 40% of the damage, leaving 25 to go. Wolverine hits the interior wall, which absorbs 20% of damage before giving away. She plows through that too. She takes 5 points of damage. Wolverine smacks into a secondary wall that does that last 5 points of damage to it. It's not enough to plow through it, but she finally stops her there. So it's basically saying she's getting slung through with 65 points of damage, but she's throwing some of it into the different walls and stuff she can break through. So it's just kind of a neat idea. We have more stuff with creating characters, because again, a little thing, but yeah, here like we have rank 1 through 25, and they have all these different points available and stuff, and they kind of backed off on that a little bit. As you have more scores and modifiers and all this stuff. Yeah, I think it's a neat, interesting read. So here's like the original. If you're playing a blaster such as Bullseye, again, blasters would be someone that shoots things or throws things. Bullseye, Cyclops, Dazzler, Havoc, Hawkeye, Jubilee, and Human Torch. So here you had all this different stats things for it. So if you were rank 1, you had 4 health, 6 focus, up to 25, you had 100, 150, but you had all this different fight damage, damage reduction, logic. So basically they condensed all this stuff down into like the range 1 through 5. You had your other different smaller stats, just so that you weren't reading these giant tables. They had some other different power sets in here as well that weren't mentioned to the other ones that I do find neat, like blades and battle suits. Just some additional content that didn't make it into the first book. But yeah, here we have some different little power lists for those. Some new powers like bullet time, I don't think was in the other one. We did mention like chain strikes, fast strikes level 5, action standard, so we just kind of looked at that. Makes a fight if an edge succeeds, takes physical damage, bashing, success does another. So that stayed the same. So again, not everything necessarily changed. And then we had our Marvel heroes. So now this is kind of how some of the characters changed. So like Black Panther, do we have a Black Panther in this book? Can we look at him really quick as a comparison? We should have a Black Panther in here. Black Widow. Black Panther T'Challa. So yeah, so you went from rank 4 to rank 15. So yeah, they kind of did that, but his health was 90 and 90 versus 135, 135. Then your abilities. So you have melee, agility, resilience, vigilance, ego, and logic. So it still has ego, logic, resilience. It says all the same stuff, but The stats did change. They have some different modifiers in there, so the defense was a little bit higher on stuff. But then you had all this other little bit of extra stuff in there. So you have like speed up here at the top, run, climb, swing, jump, modifier 3. There at speed, 32 goes 6 spaces. There's fight damage, roll a bunch of d6s. The 3d6s plus this, plus that. Damage reduction is karma of 8. There's a karma of 4. And so they did change a bunch of that different stuff. There's different powers. Just a couple of different stuff. Some of the stuff stayed kind of the same. But yeah, so you see they did change stuff up a little bit for these different characters. So again, you don't buy this thinking you're gonna sit down and play the game with this. Not that you probably couldn't. But then none of the other books are gonna make sense. And like here's the Hydra mission they added in there. They just tweaked it, and there's all your other stuff. But yeah, so this is a neat little extra thing. I think if you have the couple extra bucks and you're buying some of the other things, just a neat extra little thing to add on to have some stuff, but don't expect to buy this as a replacement for the big one. Alright, that's what we have for this super long video for the Marvel role-playing game. Yeah, when I get the deluxe starter set with all the extra cool cards and all that stuff and all the tokens, we'll definitely look at that. Maybe at some point I might decide to, I'll see what the costs are to log on to some of them digital ones, and maybe I'll do a little recording of some of those and what you can do on there. If people are interested, I get enough views on this video, comments, people seem might be interested and know it's on there. It might be neat to hop in, see what you can all do on that, what you have access to. So let me know. See you guys later. Bye.